T-minus 10 minutes. T-minus 9 minutes. T-minus 8 minutes. T-minus 7 minutes. T-minus 6 minutes. T-minus 5 minutes. T-minus for minutes. T-minus 3 minutes. T-minus 2 minutes. T-minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
On the air, I am the air. Welcome to a Football Friday, everybody. We're getting the weekend started here on the Game Plus Television Network and various other platforms, including 1700 Mission Radio and YouTube Live. RP here in moments. Kevin the Medium joining us from the Hughes Sports Podcast out there in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. In hour two, Jim Barker is going to be with us, five-time Grey Cup champion, and Johanny Jutra, photographer to the stars from the Canadian Football League. But we're ready to have some fun. I'm ready for the weekend. I've been ready since last weekend for this weekend. It's been a bit of a heavy week for everybody, I feel, Kev. But Kevin the Medium's here wearing his Vancouver Canucks jersey. Is that because of the love that I didn't give the Canucks yesterday? Or what's with the Canucks jersey today, Kev?
It's, you know me way too well. It is exactly because you didn't give my team any love. So I'm like, I was getting ready for the show and I was actually pulled out my BC Lions jersey. I hung it back up and I pulled out Mr. BX's number 3 and said, this is what we're wearing today.
You know, it's kind of funny because Eric from BC, one of the viewers wrote in yesterday. He goes, I tune into this show to get away from the Canucks talk. And I'm like, yeah, we only talk about them like once every 2 weeks or something. So, yeah. All right, Kev, you ready to go?
I'm ready, buddy.
Quick 6 show topics. We open with some sad news. General Manager Ted Gavea of the Hamilton Tiger Cats has passed away. The Ticats announced his death Friday morning and said they would honor him with tonight's Team Ted game against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Gavea, a Burlington, Ontario product, in his first season as GM, revealed in June that he was battling cancer. And I'm going to tell you something. Prayers to Ted, his family. There's something about football gods, Kev. I know you believe in it. We talk about it all the time. That he worked for Winnipeg for many, many years. And the Bombers are in Hamilton tonight, the team for which he works now and was named GM just this first year. Ted's just a wonderful guy. He was a huge supporter of me and this show because of our CFL content and our love for the league. And I got my Ticats colors on today with the RP show. So I just want to observe that for Ticats fans, Bomber fans, and the friends and family of Ted Gavea. Tough news coming out of Hamilton tonight. What I will say is, Ticats, go win him a Grey Cup. Now, moving on, Kev. That's the breaking news. Point 1, Thursday night football. Yeah, me too. Me too. Use it as a rallying cry and go win a Grey Cup. Thursday night football, Jordan Love threw for 292 yards and 2 touchdowns, lifting the Green Bay Packers to a 27-18 win over the Washington Commanders on Thursday night football. Tight end Tucker Kraft caught 6 passes for a career-high 124 yards to help the Packers go to 2-0 for the first time since 2020. I'm not going to ask you, Kev, about that. What I'm going to ask you is a fun question that's going to go to all the viewers here on the show. What's your football focus this weekend? And I should have teed you up on this, but you're a smart guy. I think here's mine. 40% NFL, 40% CFL, and 20% college football. 40, 40, 20. Off the top of your head, can you add yours up? I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but what's your football focus this weekend?
Oh, come on. You know what my football focus is. It's 100% CFL. I don't really watch the NFL. It was funny because I did watch the college game last night, which was out of the blue for me. So and it was fun to watch. But, yeah, no, I'm focusing on the CFL this year.
Okay, well, listen, Kev's with us for the opening 3 segments, and then it'll be just me for a while for a couple, and then Jim Barker an hour 2. As everybody knows now, we've split this up into hour 1 Canadian content, hour 2 U.S. content, or mostly U.S. content in hour 2, which is cool. So I do have some college football talk later on that I'm not going to ask you to get into, Kev, about that, because I know you don't follow it. As you said, you just don't follow the NFL. And that is our poll question today, NFL related. We'll get to that in a second. But okay, I ask you questions that I already know the answer to, and that was, what's your focus? I know it's 100% CFL. I knew that. BC plays tonight. Is it going to be killing you to not be there?
It is, and it's really funny because I'm heading down to Vancouver in the beginning of October, and I had the choice, go to a Lions game or go to a Vancouver Canucks game. And guess which one I chose?
Lions?
Canucks. No, Canucks.
Oh, okay. Why?
Because I can go to a Lions game anytime. I don't get to go to very, very many Vancouver Canuck games, especially when I'm in Vancouver. So I decided, you know what, even if it's preseason, it's against the Oilers, let's go. So we got tickets. Same seats you and I sat in back when we were there for the Grey Cup from my good friend Susie. So yeah, should be cool.
That was so much fun. That was Connor Bedard of the Chicago Blackhawks to the Vancouver Canucks that night. Okay, everybody's writing in with their answers, and I appreciate this. Wayne in BC says, mine is 90% CFL, 10% NFL. So give me your spread, everybody, because fall is for football. Every league's playing. High school, college, NFL, CFL, you name it, other than the Continental Football League, which we talked about the other day with Mike Kelly. But anyways, I could get to the game notes here in a second, Kev. And as a matter of fact, I will. Why the hell not? Nathan Rourke is set to make his 31st career start tonight for the BC Lions. He is 17-13 all time. He's now one of just 5 Canadian players to ever make 30 quarterback starts in the CFL. What is that? When I read that, I'm like, there's only been 5 Canadian quarterbacks, but that kind of speaks to the U.S. American bias to CFL players over the years, particularly at the quarterback position. But this kid's making history, you know, and I know you love him.
Yes, it's that time of, you know, when we get that, I don't want to call him a generational talent because I think that's used way too often. But man, he's just so good at what he does. And when someone is that good at what they do and they're there to entertain you and you get to watch it and you get to experience it, it's just sit back and enjoy it because the kid is amazing.
Well, he is, and we're getting excited here in the opening segment. It's Football Friday, Hour 1 Canadian content. Winnipeg Blue Bombers at Hamilton tonight, Ottawa Red Blacks at the BC Lions tonight. You tabbed at a must-win game for BC. I just had another look at the standings prior to the game. It's must-win for the Ottawa Red Blacks again tonight. You know, somebody wrote in earlier this week and said there's a case for all 4 games in the CFL this weekend to be tabbed the game of the week, because they all have such huge implications. So just hang on, Kev. I want to get more into tonight's 2 games, obviously Saturday's 2 games. Our poll question is NFL related. I'll tell you that the Western Dodge text line is open for business, 902-518-3033. Are you looking to trade up? Western Dodge makes it easy with top dollar trade-ins and unbeatable deals. Again, 902-518-3033 to reach us on the Western Dodge text line or the YouTube chat, and we'll return in a moment with way more football right after this on Game Plus TV.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Nazareth's Canadian Farewell Tour is coming to Moose Jaw. Live at Temple Garden Center, October 17th. With special guest, Lee Aaron. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or sasktix.ca.
Welcome back, everybody. Four Seasons Football Friday continues. We're talking with the passing earlier of Ted Gouveia, the general manager of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, passing away after a short cancer battle. John Ohm writes in from Winnipeg and says, F cancer. I go along with that. Kev, before you switched jerseys. I got a few things to get to. To the viewer Shy from Saskatchewan that's writing in, I'm not reading any of your comments for the rest of the day. You've written in. You've been a complete asshole right from the start. So if you came into my house and started acting like a jerk, I'd kick you out, and that's what I'm doing here right now. If you want to stay, go ahead, but I'm not reading any of your comments the rest of the way. So there's that. And the poll question today is for EMJ Marketing. Expert voices, impactful messages. Discover the perfect speaker at EMJ Marketing. Go to emjmarketing.com. The question is, what's the best team in the NFL? We saw the Packers beat Washington last night, 27-18 to go to 2-0. The Eagles are the defending champions. They have the Chiefs this week, and the Buffalo Bills had the biggest comeback of the season. We're only in week 2. I voted for the Philadelphia Eagles, by the way, because they are the reigning Super Bowl champion. And Kev, this is where I need your help. Darcy from Grand Prairie writes in. And for those that just tuned in, Kevin was wearing a Canucks current iteration jersey. Darcy in Grand Prairie writes in, he goes, I long for the old V Canucks jersey from the early 80s to make a comeback, as do I. But clearly he's not a Canucks fan, and I'm not. Why is it in Vancouver, that's like a swear word, that jersey, yet you guys, go ahead.
It's the ugliest jersey we've ever had. We've had a lot of ugly jerseys. That one, it just was, it reminded me of a pair of pajamas you got on Christmas morning when you were 6 years old, and you're like, throw it behind you. No, I think by far the best is the one I was wearing. I just like the blue and the green. It's a great combination.
Which was their original jersey from the 60s, right? When they were an expansion team in 66, 67 era. Okay, fine. But I mean, I had a lot of friends play for Vancouver in that V jersey. Tiger Williams, Rich Sutter. It's like everybody outside Vancouver loves it. And you talked about that hockey game we went to last year, the Canucks and the Blackhawks. Would you mind to stroke my ego a little bit and tell the folks the story about, remember you and me walking around the concourse at whatever the rink's called there now, and that guy stopped and he was wearing what I think is the ugliest jersey. That was from Mark Messier era 90. The red morphed with the blue. Like, what the hell was that?
Well, did he recognize you, or he grabbed you and went, you're Rod Pedersen? And I just kind of went, we can't go anywhere, can we? We just can't go anywhere.
I stopped him to ask him about I said, hey, buddy, that's like the least nicest jersey. He's like, You're Rod Pedersen from the Rod Pedersen show. I'm like, I couldn't believe it either. Anyways, everybody, it is a Football Friday. Janice is written in from Edmonton. She's a Stampeders fan. She says, good morning, football lovers. Ryan from upstate New York has checked in. He says, good day, Rod Squad. Happy Football Friday to those who observe. Well, for those that are just getting settled in, we asked earlier, I did, is kind of a theme. What is your football focus this weekend? Mine, 40% NFL, 40% CFL, 20% college football. Kevin's is 100% CFL. And here, as we now know, in hour one of the RP show, it's Canadian sports. And it feels good. I don't know why we didn't do this years ago. I don't need to feel guilty talking about it because I'd like to. I want to go back to this Nathan Rourke thing. You know, I said he's about to become only the 5th player. As a matter of fact, he is only the 5th Canadian player in CFL history, Canadian player, to make 30 quarterback starts. And I said, you'd think there would be more. The others, by the way, Kev, Russ Jackson, Jerry Dittillo, Nathan Rourke, Don Getty, and Frank Cosentino. And I want to go back on this because the Lions are home tonight to the Ottawa Red Blacks in a must-win game for both. Where do you see this going for Nathan Rourke? Like, he's going to be a CFLer, I think, for a long time. I feel like he's like the Dave Dickinsons and the Ricky Rays that tried the NFL and just realized it wasn't for them for whatever reason. How do you see this playing out for Nathan Rourke on the West Coast?
Jake and I have talked about this on our podcast, and I always say he's built for the CFL. The way he plays, his scrambling ability, the way he can throw the ball, built for the CFL. Probably not so much for the NFL, obviously, if he didn't make it. Plus, there's that Canadian or American bias when you're down there. You're going to start an American when you can, which good on them. We should be starting more Canadians, in my opinion, but what do I know? So how long will he play? I think he's going to probably play well into his 40s. He's
really
going to be around forever. Yeah, I really do. I think
all
he's going
with
to be
BC. The history would say that it won't all be with BC.
It won't. I would love to say it will, but as we know in sports, it's a business, and these kids got to go. Kids, I always call them kids, and then I giggle because they're not kids; they're adults, but they're kids to me. They got to go make their money when they can because their playing time is short. He's going to be done by his mid-30s to late 30s, maybe into his early 40s if he's lucky. And he has to make it while he can. And right now, BC is paying him. Nobody's going to pay him as much as BC's paying him right now.
Good. Well, he's got to start winning, though. And that's the thing. I mean, I'm sitting back here going, look at these rebuilds between Edmonton and BC. And I guess the rebuild in BC, Kev, was bigger than we thought that it was, right? I think they felt that it was just going to be a minor tweak there with the Lions, and it's turned out to be anything but.
Can we call it a rebuild? They haven't done anything since 2011. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was the last time we won a Grey Cup was 2011. That was 14 years ago. Can you call it a rebuild for 14 years? It hurts. It's like, come on, we deserve, as BC fans, we deserve better than this.
So, yeah, folks,
we're calm and cool and collected.
So far, Kevin the Medium here from the Hughes Sports Podcast. As you see, BC Lions fan, Vancouver Canucks fan, and I love when we can have a BC flavor on this show. By the way, from the audience, John Ohm writes in from Winnipeg, and he says, no U.S. high school football, Rod? Well, I do love the audience participation, as we know. I was halfway down to Fort Lauderdale last night, driving there to watch the Cardinal Gibbons Chiefs. They were playing West Broward high school football, 5A here in South Florida. I got halfway there, got a notification that the game was canceled. And I looked up at the sky. I'm like, it's not raining. So I did a loop and ended up treating myself for supper at the beach house in Pompano Beach, where we've done so many football shows. So, no, here's an amazing thing, by the way. I looked this up, Kev. I'm glad that John asked that question. In the state of Florida, on any given Friday night, last night was a Thursday. They haven't rescheduled the game yet. It's either 400 or 800 high school games in the state of Florida alone. I can't remember if it's 400 games featuring 800 teams or if it's 800 games featuring 1,600 teams. Both figures are staggering. Staggering.
That's baffling. That means literally you should be able to drive within 2 hours and take your pick of 50 games.
And I can. And
Right.
I can. So anyways, John Ohm in Winnipeg, that's the story. I'm going to go with 400 games. And I think that's what it is in the state of Florida alone on any given Friday night. That's what it's very, very, very special. Arlen Bruce writes in, well, before he does, Carlos in Indianapolis writes in, he says, that's a lot of schools. I know, but that's what it is. Even if it's just 800 schools is a lot. It might even actually be 1,600. Arlen Bruce, AB, he writes in, he says, great morning, RP and the medium. I'm heading to the Lions game tonight. The Lions better watch out for the Red Blacks. I have BC by 8. I didn't get into the point spreads with you, Kev. I know you're a straight up kind of guy, but I mean, I guess I never asked you. Are you nervous about this game tonight, Lions and Red Blacks?
Nervous? I'm terrified. I'm going to be sitting on the couch. I'm going to be curled up in the fetal position until that final whistle goes because it's the Lions. Anything can happen.
Well, I go back to this. You didn't expect this year. Am I right?
No. Oh, God, no. I mean, it was funny because Jake and I had a couple of color commentators on our show prior to the season starting, and each one of them, including yourself, said Calgary got the better of the quarterbacks from VA to Rourke. And I was like, these guys are experts, but I think they're wrong. Now I'm sitting here halfway through the season going, maybe they knew something I didn't. Because Look at Calgary and look at BC. VA is just burning it up.
Listen, making predictions in any football league, and for that matter, sports in general, is a fool's errand. I do it because so many people have the balls, very few people, have the balls to do it. Most people don't like to make predictions. I don't care. I was thinking about this morning. I had Riders 1, Winnipeg 2, BC 3, Calgary 4, Edmonton 5. And a lot can happen over the next 6 games. Like we're entering the final third of the regular season. But, I'm feeling kind of goofy about that. But I did have the Riders first, and that's what they are. Eric in BC writes in, and he says, RP, what college game are you going to? I want to save this a little later for when Kevin's not with us. So just hang on, Eric. I'll address that later. Kevin, the medium, is with us, BC Lions fan, and we'll stick to the Canadian topics. But I like the way you think. But college football talk coming up later on in the program. Carlos in Indianapolis says Indiana has 314 high school football teams, according to Jeff Sagarin's computer. So again, I'm thinking about this. If that's Indiana, Florida has far, far, far more population.
Yeah.
I want to say it's probably 400 games tonight in the state of Florida at all levels of high school football. So, Kev, that's the thing, by the way, because I've spent so much time around personnel people in football and hockey, obviously, but like Roy Shivers, he worked for your Lions for years, and he was our GM for 7. I know you love my Shivers imitations.
I love it.
but he used to always say, running backs are a dime a dozen. And I think he said that about receivers too. Like it's an unending wealth of U.S. football. Unending. Just think of oil spouting up from the ground. The Beverly Hillbillies. It's just. Have you ever worried that there's not enough football players? Because just so you know, that's not a worry.
It's like hockey players in Canada. There's never ending. Will always be the next one. There'll always be 20 more to take that one position. So football, hockey, it's where it is.
Yeah, right. It's just, I think, you look at the spring leagues and now this Continental Football League popping up. And there was a time when the XFL and the USFL were playing separate leagues, and people were like, oh, is there enough players? Is the CFL going to suffer because of this? No. No. There's never going to be a shortage of football players. Now, there is a thought, and maybe we can get into this after the break, and I know the viewers that came here for CFL discussion must be loving this talk here today because we're getting down into it. Is the quality of play as good as it used to be? Because I look out there and I don't see a Matt Dunnigan. I don't see a Damon Allen. I don't see even a Doug Flutie in the league. Zach Caleros, Bo Levi, and maybe Trevor Harris are the marquee guys.
Yeah.
So that's something we can get into after the break. The football fans can get into this, and the personnel people that are watching as well. John Ohm in Winnipeg says 1 million high school football players in the USA, according to Google. Think about it. I said there's 400 games in Florida alone. Do the math. It's how we got onto this, I don't know, but I'm glad that we did. It's a Football Friday, and these are the kinds of we're involving everybody in the discussion here. We're brought to you in part by the Mad Greek for legendary ribs, delicious pizza, and late-night bites. It's the Mad Greek Eatery, open until 11 p.m. We'll be back in a moment here on Game Plus Television.
Country's hottest party is coming. James Barker Band, Bud Light Buckle Up Tour 2025. Live across Canada with special guests Ryan and Rory. November 20th, Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at zasktix.ca. James Barker Band Live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hour one of a Football Friday brought to you lovingly by Outlaw Communications. That's the PR firm owned by former Saskatchewan Roughriders PR man Tony Plater. At Outlaw Communications, where creativity isn't a hobby, it's a way of life. From strategic communications to leadership training and conversational content, we help your message connect and inspire. Okay, Kevin the Medium is with us. Big BC Lions fan, as you can tell. We got a lot of stuff to get to. It goes so fast when Kev's here, so I'll get to the viewer comments a little later on that don't pertain to what we're talking about today. The Bomb writes in and he says, poor Ted Govea. Watched interviews of him, seemed like an amazing human being. Rest in peace. That's what we opened the show with, the breaking news today. Ted Govea passing away from a battle with cancer, a short battle, the general manager of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. More on Ted later, but he finally got his dream job in the CFL, and cancer took him within a year. There's a message in there, folks. There's a message in there. Don't wait. And on the quality of play, I don't know how we got into this, but Rich in Edmonton says the quality of play in the CFL is not what it used to be, but you have to just accept it and enjoy it nonetheless. And I got to sit back here and go, okay, I got to relate it to hockey because that's my thing. And I'm like, okay, the quality of play in the NHL is 50% of what it was in the 80s. And you're old enough, Kev, to remember 21 teams. For instance, the players are faster now and they shoot harder. So what? Like Wendell Clark and I had this discussion. You don't see any 3-on-2s anymore. You don't see a lot of 2-on-1s because it's moving too fast. The play moves too fast to develop. It was a beautiful thing back then. But nobody cares. They're making more money than they ever have. There's more teams than ever. They're selling more tickets. That's in hockey. In football, because you played the game, I did not. How would you address that the level of play in the CFL isn't what it used to be?
I totally agree. If we go back to the 80s, 90s, I think the CFL was their glory years, in my opinion. Why has the quality of play dropped? It has nothing to do with the players. I say since the CFL brought in this stupid, I'm not going to swear, this stupid coach's cap, I'll call it, admin cap, they don't have the coaching they need. They don't have the individualized coaching like we used to in the league. And we talked about what's his name, Luke, so many times I don't want to bring him up again, but he's not wrong. That has hurt the CFL. If the numpties, what does he call them? Numpties in the CFL bunker. I don't want to call it the ivory tower because I honestly think they're in a bunker and they don't know what's going on. If they will listen and just get rid of that, just one simple stroke of a pen, get rid of that stupid rule, if you want to call it a rule, and the CFL will be a better game in 2 years. Will it happen overnight? No. Will it happen in 2 years? I honestly, in the heart of hearts, believe it really will.
Do you know why they won't? Because then they'd have to take less money.
Right.
And by the way, that's not necessarily saying that they're greedy. Because I'll say this, I used to own a pizza restaurant. You didn't know me then, but it was a Famoso.
Yep.
And we were hiring for a manager. And I said to the other owners, what's it pay? What are we paying? And they said $49,000 a year. And I'm like, that's all? And they're like, well, you could take less and then we could pay him. I said, nope, that's okay. It's the same mentality. Okay.
It is. But did your pizza suffer? Was the quality of your pizza suffering because you only paid $49,000? If you would have paid $70,000 and you got a master chef in there to manage your restaurant, would the pizza have been that much better and you would have made that much more money?
Now, we sold a couple of years later and it's now out of business. But on that whole vein, that's the thing. And I don't mind talking about this because that's why you're here. I had this discussion with Nick Lewis, and it wasn't just the Hall of Fame receivers, Stampeders and Alouettes. And it wasn't over the coach's salary cap, but it was just about expansion and quality of play and stuff. And I said, Nick, the owners don't care. I look at the NHL. The owners don't care that the quality is half as good as it was in the 80s. Gary Bettman wasn't even around then. He doesn't even know. It's not about that. You know, where the CFL struggles is not quality of play. Look at the games, man. Statistically, these have been the best games we've ever had in terms of close endings and all the rest. The quality of play, if it's not what it used to be, and you're saying that it's not, and the viewers that know are saying that it's not hurting ratings.
Oh, it's definitely not. Would stadiums like in Toronto and BC, we can't include Saskatchewan or Winnipeg because they do a great job at promoting their game. But everywhere else, will that walk-up fan increase? I think it will because it's great football. We love great football. Simple. Right? You get the Canucks when they suck and they don't win, they're not selling out. They start to win, they start selling out.
Regardless the cost of the tickets. Hey, trust me, I get it. Ryan in upstate New York writes, and he says, I was shocked to see there were only 142 high school football teams in New York State, but there are 768 basketball teams. That kind of tells you what's the bigger sport in that state. And I'll say it again, how we got onto this was I was stunned now a number of years ago, and I was looking for a score, high school football on a Friday night in Florida 5A, and they're like, oh, there were 400 games last night. Like, imagine being the commissioner of the Florida High School Athletic Association. That's just football, let alone all the other sports. But you mentioned the Argos, and Kirk writes in from Toronto on the Western Dodge text line. He says, hey, Rod, Kevin Gosman throws at Gem, 6-0. The Jays won Thursday. And it's the eve of the battle between Fajardo versus Arbuckle on a glorious Saturday afternoon with John Candy watching from heaven. It's John Candy Day. I love it. Like, who's in charge of Argos marketing right now? Bravo, guys and gals. Bravo. I love it. What do you remember? How much were you following the CFL back in 91 when that group owned the Argos? Candy, Gretzky, and Bruce McNall.
Of course. I've never not followed the CFL. I was born into it. But literally, I don't remember not watching the CFL. So yes, I remember that. That was a glory days when BC Place would be selling out 58,000, 935,000 fans in a regular season game. It was the glory days of the CFL.
Janice from Edmonton writes in, am I okay? Should I call you Janice, the Stamps fan, or Janice from Edmonton? It's kind of a juxtaposition there. Janice, the Stamps fan from Edmonton. She writes in and says, you're dead right, Kevin. I'm not sure what she's specifically agreeing to or saying because you've had a lot of points here, a lot of hot takes. Let's just say Kevin's been right about everything. And she goes on to say, she says the Lions need to improve in all aspects of their play. They have a great quarterback, but need a stronger supporting cast. And as Jeff said yesterday, the Stamps fan, they're a bad team with a great quarterback. I can't remember do you go along with that, or is that too harsh?
No, that's too harsh. And I disagree with Janice on this one. I think we only need a couple pieces. Our defense is atrocious, to say the least. They've made some changes this week. So what's his name? Mr. Lee. I can't think of his first initials.
TJ Lee? TJ Lee?
Say again?
TJ Lee?
TJ Lee is coming back. So hopefully that helps. I've seen it too many times where they're pointing fingers in the backfield, in the Lions backfield after a play. And you just know that there's no chemistry there. Something has to happen.
What's your plan for the game tonight? Can I ask? May I be so bold?
You can. Angela and I are going to be sitting on my couch. Like I said, I will be in the fetal position, and she will be laughing at me.
That poor girl. She is an angel. We all know that. On the quality of play discussion, BC Eric writes, and he says, the coach's cap and minimum practice time equal quality decline. Yeah. So it's not about the talent. It's not the talent. It's the coaching and practice time. Okay. Rich in Edmonton says, hear, hear. The coach's cap defies reasonable explanation. Well, it's here and probably to stay. BC Eric says, sold out BC Place for Argos with the Rocket coming to town. Oh, yes. Eric is remembering a bit of his age. Was that the case? Do you remember that? 60,000 for Rocket Ishmael? My God, who would believe it? That was
it used to be so loud in there. Crazy George would get us whistling, and he would be deafening. I still have ear damage from that.
What a thing. Okay, bye, Kev. We'll back right after this, everybody.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back, everybody. Football Friday continues, brought to you in part by Pump Jacks Cathedral in Regina and Pump Jacks Weyburn. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. Man, we're having a great show today, aren't we? I appreciate you all for that. We had to kick out one numpty earlier. This wasn't in the mood for him to come in and start throwing elbows and being a jerk. Just not doing it. Ron in Calgary writes in on the Western Dodge text line, 902-518-3033. Ron says, as usual, great show, Rod. Go Riders. Unfortunately, not the lion's ear. They've been up and down like a toilet seat, there's no doubt. But until it's over, it ain't over. So I'm not writing the BC Lions off yet. Mark in Burlington, Ontario, watches us every day on Game Plus TV, but specifically and mostly on Fridays because he's a big football fan. He says, Rod, I Googled it, and there are 813 high school football teams in Florida. Okay, thank you. I couldn't remember. And again, this was a number of years ago now, but I was looking up a football score, and there was 400 games that one night alone in the state of Florida. And I was like, oh, my God. And thank you for confirming that's 800 teams. I couldn't remember if it was 800 games and 1,600 teams. No, we got it. That's a lot of football, everybody. I'm just going to squeeze this in here. Ryan in upstate New York says, if you haven't watched the trailer for the upcoming John Candy documentary, I Like Me, it's a tearjerker. Looking forward to the full documentary. Why are we talking about John Candy? Because it's John Candy Day at BMO Field on Saturday. And I love those theme nights in sports. Here's the thing. I love when I have my guests, but I love when it's just me. This is one thing I learned when I was researching sports talk radio, when I was trying to learn how to do it a couple of decades ago now. One half guests, one half solo. Works great. It covers all the bases. And so that was a tearjerker, right? John writes, and he says, I had a tear or two watching the Cowboys and Jerry Jones documentary. So well done. You were crying. Try being a Cowboys fan. Anyways, let me just walk it back here a little bit so I can tell my stories. I said that I was anxiously looking forward to this weekend since last weekend. Because the second I get off the air today at 2 p.m. Eastern, I'm jumping in the Jeep and driving down to the Florida Keys. And that gang down there is probably watching right now. And so they're going down on their boat right now. They might be there, they might not. So last weekend, they were like, hey, Rod, how would you like to join us in the Keys next weekend? We're getting an Airbnb. Bring your Jeep down. I'm like, that would be great. Why do you want me there? And they said, well, then we would have wheels. We're going to be there with our boat, but if we got you, you can drive. We can go to the store. We can go here. There. And they were just kind of joking. But that's the weekend in the Florida Keys. So Eric in BC Eric wrote in here earlier and said, Rod, what college game are you going to this weekend? And I'm not for that reason. But I was talking to my sponsor, Bob, this morning. Huge football guy. And we were talking about the weekend college games. And he's a big OSU fan. And they got Ohio Saturday night. And I said, Bob, you got to come down and visit, because if you love football, look, it's a sports mecca, but it's football is the number one sport here. It ain't close. So this morning in the hot tub at the gym, I try to just slip in unnoticed. It doesn't happen when you're me. So there's a couple other guys in there. And one of them is a retired cop. I'm not going to say his name because it's a very obscure name. Somebody might look it up. And anyways, we got talking about the college games. And I said, well, what college game are you looking forward to the most this weekend? He goes, I'm a season ticket holder for the Miami Hurricanes. Decades. We got South Florida coming in here tomorrow. We're going to kick the... That's what he said. He's expecting the Hurricanes to roll. And I said, okay, well, but South Florida is on the verge of setting a record. If anybody follows this more closely than me, which I'm sure there are a lot, tell me if I have this correct or incorrect. The South Florida Bulls, if they beat Miami on Saturday, will be the first team in college football history, first unranked team to start a season with 3 wins over ranked teams. And he goes, it's not going to, he goes, now they're playing a real team in the Hurricanes. So this is just the talk around here. And then the other thing, Florida Atlantic, which nobody talks about, but it's the closest team to where I live. It's like 1.8 miles away. They're playing on the road. This is the Owls. Lucky Whitehead played there, Trey Hendrickson, and they are playing at Florida International University. And you might have remembered me saying, when I was driving home Saturday night, leaving the Owls game where I went down to see Henry Burris, I was listening to the postgame show. And the radio guy, Ken LaVecca, says, next week, we're going to that dump of a stadium in West Miami to take on the Panthers. I'm like, you can say that? As you all know, I used to get in so much hell for the things that I would say, calling Ivor Wynne Stadium a dump, calling Canada Stadium a dump, which they were. And you know why I could say that? Because our stadium was the biggest dump. Taylor Field in Saskatchewan. Bob Irving and I used to sit and literally argue over whose stadium was worse. Yeah, well, we got 5 garbage pails in the hallways of the football offices catching leaking water. Oh, I got 6. We got 6 in our office. Then we'd laugh. And then, of course, Investors Group Field opened, a Mosaic Stadium, and we would argue over who had the best stadium and which was louder. And that's me and Bob Irving. It was funny because Kevin Hughes, Kevin the Medium, brought up earlier the argument, the Twitter war between Luke Wilson and Bob Irving. And it's, from what I can see, Bob Irving stopped arguing. But from what I also see, Luke Wilson still digging at him this morning. And I'm like, I made my thoughts known on that in my weekend 10 things column. Bob Irving is above getting in a Twitter war with anybody. It reminds me of when Wally Buono came in late 90s in Saskatchewan with the Calgary Stampeders, sat down. I'm pretty sure I remember this. It was 30 years ago, but somebody questioned him about something he'd done the week before in a game, and he goes, I'm above being questioned, especially in this town. It's from Wally. Wally, if you're watching, tell me if I have it wrong, but I'm pretty sure you said that. And Bob Irving is above being criticized by anybody. He's the dean of Canadian football broadcasters. Luke Wilson clearly isn't calling off the dogs in trolling Bob, but I find it incredibly distasteful. I asked Janice V what she would like to be referred to as on this program, and she writes in and says, Janice, the Stamps fan living in Edmonton. From your keyboard to my ears, Janice, the Stamps fan living in Edmonton. Okay. Oh, I see there's a big comments going on here that don't involve me. I do like when the people in the YouTube chat discuss things, and I don't have to address them. They just chat amongst themselves. John Ohm writes in and he says, Bob Irving rocks, Luke sucks. Sorry, not sorry. Jeff the Stamps fan says, LOL, I never heard that Wally story. I love it. I can still remember it. Like it was yesterday. He tugged at the lapels of his suit coat. I'm above being criticized, especially in this town. I oddly admired it. Producer Corey chiming in. He says, here's my thoughts on Luke Wilson. I thought it was refreshing at first, but I think he is getting old, and getting into virtual Donnybrooks with veteran broadcasters is crass. Great term, Corey. Crass. It's a very underused term in the English language. Crass. It's very apropos. 902-518-3033, Western Dodge text line. Here we've become the streaming show, the Siskel and Ebert of streaming shows. Gary in Winnipeg writes in, Western Dodge text line. He says, FYI, Season 3 of Tulsa King starts on September 21st. Just last week, 1 week ago, today actually, I was with my good friend Jared Dumba. He does sales for us. And he played for the Tulsa Oilers for a while, for a time, for a season, a few seasons. And he said Tulsa was the most richest city, most influential city in all of North America in terms of average income. Tulsa, Oklahoma. I got to get this sports sports news. General Manager Ted Govea, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, has passed away. The Ticats announced Friday morning that he'd passed away and said they would honor him with tonight's Team Ted game against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Govea, a Burlington, Ontario product, in his first season as general manager, revealed in June that he was battling cancer. Chris Bassett takes the mound as the Blue Jays leading the American League, open a 3-game series against the Baltimore Orioles at Rogers Center tonight. The Jays hold a 3-game lead over the New York Yankees atop the AL East. Baltimore sits last of the division, but has won 8 of its last 9. Lawyer and abuse survivor Greg Gilhooly says NHL teams will weigh talent against backlash when deciding whether to sign 5 players acquitted in a 2018 sexual assault trial. Michael McLeod, Dylan Dubé, Cal Foote, Alex Formenton, and Carter Hart can sign deals on October 15th and return to play as of December 1st. The sports update is for Ultimate Fan Zone. From jerseys to trading cards, Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store is your fan cave headquarters. Visit them in Moose Jaw or click over to ultimatefanzone.ca. Now, coming up in hour 2, it'll be just me for the opening segment. Then Jim Barker, 5-time Grey Cup champion, will be joining us to talk CFL, NFL, college. And Johanny Jutra, I can't call her author. She's the famous photographer who put together the book, Our League, Our Country. It's been reimagined, and she's going to join us in hour 2 to talk about it. We'll be right back after this on Game Plus.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to hour 2 of the RP Show. It's a program that we call Football Friday. We do it every Friday here and have for years. It's episode number 1575, and we're coming your way on the Game Plus Television Network, YouTube Live, podcast, and 1700 AM Mission Radio. As we say, fall is for football, and we could do it every day here, but there's a lot of other things going on. I got to throw this in from Tony in Cochrane, Alberta. He writes in and he says, every time I hear you ring that bell rod, it reminds me of my time as an altar boy. That bell sounds exactly the same. Well, thank you for your service, and here we are. This came from the lovely and talented Laura Jackson of Edmonton. When I misplaced my bell at Theo Fleury's golf tournament in Calgary, she sent this to me, and I will cherish it and use it till the end of time. Okay. Re-upping on the Quick Six show topics here today on a Football Friday. Thursday Night Football, Jordan Love threw for 292 yards and 2 tuds, lifting the Green Bay Packers to a 27-18 win over the Washington Commanders on Thursday Night Football. Tight end Tucker Kraft caught 6 passes for career-high 124 yards to help the Packers go to 2-0 for the first time since 2020, and a tough outing for the Commanders. Running back Austin Eckler injured his right Achilles tendon in the fourth quarter. That's literally, really all you need to know from last night's game. It wasn't a slobber knocker. The Packers covered. I think the point spread was 3.5. That's not, everybody's talking about that. 2 things coming off that. I'm asking the viewers, what is your football focus going into the weekend? And there's been some interesting responses because we're not all the same. I think we've established that, right? And because I'm the host of the Rod Pedersen Show, I'll tell you mine. It's 40% NFL, 40% Canadian Football League, and 20% college football. It's a lot to keep on top of. 40, 40, 20. 1 hour ago, Kevin the Medium was with us. He's a huge BC Lions fan and longtime Calgary Stampeders season ticket holder. He said his is 100% CFL. That didn't surprise me at all. Darren is watching in Melfort, where they do the Melfort Shuffle. He writes in on the Western Dodge text line. He says 50% NFL, 45% CFL, 5% college. But then there's the Jays, university football, golf, boxing, etc. But then there's wifey time too. So it's going to be a juggling weekend for sure. Well, whatever you do, stay safe, as they say, and have fun and be good to each other, everybody. For the benefit of those that weren't watching last hour, I've been looking forward to this weekend since last weekend when I was invited to drive down to the Florida Keys. I got friends that are on their way there. They might actually be there by now, and they are on a boat. And they're like, Rod, come join us, and we'll use your wheels to rip around the Florida Keys, and we're going to have a big time. So it's literally going to be a weekend of putting my phone away, and we're going to do some things that I don't think I'm allowed to say. Got it? And then I'll be back in time, hopefully, to watch the Cowboys have their way with the New York Giants on Sunday, and then a bunch of us going out for supper on Sunday night. So, yeah, I've been looking forward to this weekend for a while. Now, that's just me. Back to football. The poll question today is, what's the best team in the National Football League? It's brought to you by EMJ Marketing. Connect with thought leaders and industry experts through EMJ Marketing Speakers Bureau. Check them out at emjmarketing.com. What's the best team in the NFL? That's the poll question today. We saw the Packers last night. It's go to 2-0. I just said for the first time since 2020 and the COVID year, when they played on empty stadiums. And, you know, the debate down here is, would the Packers be 2-0 without Micah Parsons? Probably. Now, somebody that's a bigger Packer fan than me, tell me this. I just went to look up the defensive stat sheet. I didn't see Micah Parsons' name on it at all. I know he had a sack last week in his debut in that win over Detroit. We watched that game. Watched a lot of last night's game, and while I saw him on the field, I don't see him getting any credit for a tackle, a sack, and I still don't think he played over 50% of the plays. They're saying next week he'll play more, but it looks like a pretty good team even without Micah Parsons. Now, in this poll, what's the best team in the NFL? Yeah. The Packers, of the teams in the poll, are the only team to have played 2 games. The others in the poll are the Philadelphia Eagles, which they're the Super Bowl champions until they're not. So I'm voted for the Eagles as the best team in the NFL. And the third team in the option is the Buffalo Bills, who had that stirring comeback win Sunday night over the Baltimore Ravens, which we all watched. Yeah, the Vikings came back on Monday night, and I get that. I do. But if we want to sit and talk about who's going to be there in the end, and I know it's only week 2, but the Packers are looking very, very good. The Eagles are the defending champs, and the Bills, I think, are going to be there in the end, or other, and nobody has actually voted for other. I think that's the other thing. I think we've got the 3 top teams, and the poll results so far here for EMJ Marketing are 35% saying the Packers are the best team, 12% saying the Eagles, 31% saying the Bills, and 22% voting for other. By the way, Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon, come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. We've got the picks up at rodpeterson.com, brought to you by Pump Jacks. Point 3 is Canadian Football League. It's Friday Night Football tonight, a pair of games. And it's going to be, we've got a lot of U.S. viewers, of course, but they follow the CFL, and there's very sad news coming out of Hamilton today. The general manager of the Tiger Cats, Ted Govea, losing a battle with cancer, announced as having passed away this morning. Very tough news. Let me go back. I want to make sure that I got this right. In the news story about Ted, they're dedicating the football game to him tonight. His Hamilton Tiger Cats are home to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the team for which he worked for many, many years. And you see this happen a lot. Football gods, I'm a big believer in that. The fact that Hamilton would be home to Winnipeg tonight, the 2 teams for which Ted spent the most years playing each other on the day that he passes, that's a football god thing. In a release, the Ticats said they were, quote, deeply saddened and would honor Ted's impact on Canadian football during tonight's Team Ted game against the visiting Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Like I said, I wanted to make sure that I got that right. The message in there for me, I don't know about everybody else, is he finally got his dream job to be the general manager of his hometown Tiger Cats, and cancer took him in less than a year. You know, it reminds me of Mick Magoo, our good friend, NHL referee. And when I say good friend, he was a real good friend. We did a lot of public speaking together, crisscrossing the province together. Mick, at the age of 62, shortly after retiring, suffered a stroke, died a week later, and never had a chance to enjoy that beautiful home that he built in Scottsdale. Don't wait. Don't wait. The sports world loses another, and it's Ted Govea of the Hamilton Tiger Cats today. Not that long after we lost another personnel guy in Craig Smith. So the football world rocked. Football world needs to come together. And they will. Regarding what's your football focus, Navy Don writes in from Ottawa. He says 95% Canadian football, CFL and U Sports, 5% NFL, because I'm in a pool. Michael Wynn is watching in Winnipeg at the Icetime Sports. He says, create lots of havoc, did Parsons. Okay, so he didn't make the stat sheet, but he caused havoc. Okay. 47 million. I think that's what he's getting. Rich at Edmonton writes in, he says, I did not like all those all-white Packer unis, but I'm a traditionalist. You know what's interesting about that is it feels like nobody liked those Packers uniforms on Thursday Night Football, including hardcore Packers fans. Am I right? One of the guys that I'm spending the weekend with, Brent from Wellington, Florida, is a huge Packers fan. I believe his text last night was that it's taking some time to get used to. But, of course, they only wear it on special occasion jerseys, specifically Thursdays, I believe. 902-518-3033. Oh, yeah. Back to the actual games on that Friday night doubleheader in the Canadian Football League. John Ohm in Winnipeg says, no Caleros, no win. Pretty simple math. Sorry, Chris Strebler. I do like you, bro. Nice guys run the Kinsman Club. as John Frenzy says. And then the later game is the Ottawa Redblacks at the BC Lions, which we covered in depth last hour with Kevin the Medium, and as the biggest Lions fan I know, calling it a must-win for both teams. Kenny is watching in Vancouver on Game Plus Television. He writes in on the Western Dodge text line. He says, "Hey, Rod, I want to wish you safe travels down to the Florida Keys. Drive safe and have a great weekend. I watch the show daily, and I heard you say that you don't get the CFL games on TV down in Florida, so I'm wondering if you watch the game highlights on the internet then? Take care. Signed, Kenny." Well, up until this past weekend, which I wasn't here because I was in Canada all summer, June, July, August, the games were airing on CBS Sports Network. Most of them. As a matter of fact, all the games on Labor Day weekend were on CBS Sports Network. But now the college is kicked off. Think about this. We got, I wrote them down here, 5 U.S. college football games tonight, and then a spate of them on Saturday. And that's right when the Canadian Football League games are being played. So, no, moving forward, it'll be very rare that a CFL game is on CBS Sports Network, which is too bad because it's in 60 million homes across the USA. But I got to give kudos to the Canadian Football League. That website, CFL Plus, is tickety-boo. I watch so much of that, as do all of my U.S. CFL fans. And we talk about, I watch the highlights if I don't watch the game, but I watch the games on CFL Plus if I can. This weekend, I probably won't. We'll see, because we're going to be getting up to some fun things in the Florida Keys. That's one thing I enjoy about my life now. Utah Darren, hang on. I'll get to your question in a second. But speaking of Darrens, I talked to the Moose yesterday. Talked to Moose like every day. The only reason he's not on this show every day is because he's doing a lot more things now, and one of those is traveling. I can't remember where he said he was going today. He said he landed at 11. He was unable to come on with us at this specific time. In the Canada West football, there's some big ones. Calgary's at Alberta tonight. Regina's at UBC tonight. Saturday, Sask is at Manitoba. Rams and Huskies are 2-0. So anyways, Darren's at that age where he needs to be busting his ass, crisscrossing the country. I've done it. Been there, done it. And until that changes, I really like doing a Monday to Friday daytime sports talk show. That's why it was designed this way. So I can do fun things on the weekend. Although, having said that, and as I announced earlier on in the week, I'll be broadcasting Georgia Tech, FAU men's hockey next weekend. So keeping my hand in the game, but basically doing it as I want to. Utah Darren says Micah Parsons attracts a lot of attention. The other Packers players are taking advantage. Well, again, they're 2-0. And, if Coach Barker is watching, I would like to get his take on that, because the Packers clearly they would do that trade again. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I'm just saying he wasn't on the stat sheet. I get it. Guys get paid on stats. Having said that, Mike has already been paid. But it reminds me, and I had this written down as notes I wanted to get to today. Plaza stories. Last night was the Saskatchewan Roughriders Plaza of Honor. It's their Hall of Fame. You don't realize it until you're out of it, outside the Rider Nation, how special those things are, because my dad used to come home in the 80s from these Plaza of Honor Hall of Fame inductions, because my dad was a season ticket holder, and he'd tell me stories about the riders that he rubbed shoulders with, like Joe Farragelli, the head coach, or Ken Austin, the player, or Bob Hughes from the leader post. That tradition continues to this day. They had it last night, and then I went on to MC it, 20 of them in my 20 years as the voice of the Roughriders. But the reason I bring that up is Vincent Donaldson, a former Patriot and Packer DB, was an outstanding corner for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And the fans that know, but he didn't have the stats. And before I even really knew football, V explained that to me. He's like, I don't have any stats because nobody throws at me. Oh, I get it. I totally get it. Mike Wynn writes in and says, go Bisons. There, I had my obligatory Canada West mention there, the 3 games this weekend. Looks like a hell of a season unfolding. The Barflies from Winnipeg writes in, he says, check out that quarterback on Iowa State. undersized for the NFL. He would look good in the CFL. They just played, what was that, Wednesday night? That's the Cyclones, right? They played Iowa. He did not stand out to me as the next great CFL quarterback, but that's not to say that he won't be. I will keep my eye out for the Iowa State quarterback. That's the first that I heard that I might want to. By the way, the RP Show store is open. The hottest RP Show merch is just one click away. Visit rodpeterson.com and click on RP Show. T-shirts, hoodies, mugs, hats. We got it all. Asking what's your football focus this weekend, Laverne and Swift Current writes in. He says 50-50 NFL, CFL. Micah Parsons looked like he had a half sack last night, but maybe upon further review, they took it away. No tackles, no sacks for Micah Parsons last night, but they won. Nobody's complaining about it. I'm just bringing it up. And are the Packers the best team in the NFL? That's the poll question, and according to you all, they are. 35% of respondents on our daily poll for EMJ Marketing saying, yes, indeed, the Green Bay Packers are the best team in the NFL. Back with Jim Barker right after this.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Hour 2 of the RP Show brought to you in part by Pump Jack Steakhouse and Saloon. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. Speaking of friends, Jim Barker joins us on this Football Friday spot as he always does. And Coach, fall is for football. A lot of things are going on. Where would you like to start today?
I would have to start with Ted Igabaya, who I'm going to call him an icon of Canadian football because this is a guy that started in youth football in Burlington and Oakville and took himself to Mount Allison, where he coached on the East Coast, became a head coach at UBC. I hired him in 2010 with the Argonauts as a running back coach, and he coached 2 years with me there. And then when we brought Scott in as the head coach, he had some guys he had to bring in, and so I made Ted the director of Canadian personnel. So he coached with us in 2013, and then in 2012 he was in our front office, and 2013 made him director of personnel, and basically tried to convince him that personnel's not a bad way to go in this business. That coaching can be, can be a lot more volatile. Where personnel, because he had a great work ethic. So in 2014. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers came after him as assistant GM, and the rest is history. He had a great career in Winnipeg, and then, like you said, got his dream job. And you won't meet a finer man. He's just I felt so happy for him when he got that Hamilton job, and they're doing this special night for him that they planned. And honestly, we're hoping he'd be alive to be able to watch it on television. And the fact that he passed the morning of that is truly sad, but he does deserve mention and does deserve the honor that of every team wearing Team Ted. That pancreatic cancer is just it's not good for anything. So my heart's out to him and his family, and again, the whole league hurts today because of it.
Very well said. And I said an hour ago, go win a Grey Cup for Ted. And I believe you have them picked as your Grey Cup favorite. As we head down the final third, is that a realistic possibility? Not that they're going to rally behind Ted. Yeah, because they already are going to rally behind him, but I think they could do it.
I think the East is such that, they've got a great chance to host a playoff game. This game tonight will be interesting because Zach is out. And, one other thing I want to talk about is C.J. Rivas had a complaint about the fine that he got for the hit. And I don't know if you saw the hit, but it was – I don't know what else C.J. Rivas could have done. If you ask Zach Caleros, Zach would say, if I don't see 1+, I deserve that. That's what I believe Zach would say. And it was just a straight 1+ guy coming free, and the quarterback just got to take a step. And no, I promise you that's what Zach would say. I don't know what else he could have done. If he drops his head a little bit, now I don't know what he could have done. It bothers me that the CFL, the 4 people who decide the fines, not one of them has ever played a down of professional football, coached a down of professional football. In fact, the director of officials, which I think is a real conflict, is on that committee deciding what players are paying in fines. The NFL, in contrast, it's one guy, John Runyon, a former player, is the advisor to the commissioner, and he tells the commissioner what he thinks. If there's a problem, they then take it to the Players Association. So it's not, I'm going to say fans or people who have not been there making those decisions. I just think it's difficult. I put myself in C.J. Rivas's, when it happened, I said, there's nothing else he could have done as a player. What? And then the amount of the fine, according to C.J., was very high. Again, I just think the CFL needs to look at how they do this whole fine system. So I did want to mention that because Zach is, he's such a great player. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. I don't think anybody has any question about that. We all want to see him come back healthy. We don't know what his injury is. I mean, did he get hit from the side? Yeah, but it could have been a whiplash from his neck and from his head hitting the turf or whatever, because his body was basically just, it was ragdoll. Because I didn't think the hit was huge. If there was contact, sure, I can see the penalty and, maybe even a small, not a huge fine. But again, that's the CFL doing their thing.
Hey,
I said my piece about how I think they don't do it right because of the four people they have making those decisions.
Until the passing of Ted, this was the most talked about thing in the CFL this week, was the hit that knocked Zach out and then the subsequent discipline that you just talked about, which I believe was the max fine. And I know I couldn't have lived in Florida and covered the CFL before, but now it's very easy. I saw the hit. I had to look it up. Not hard to find. He hit him from the front. Did he not hit him right here? I'm sitting there going, "What is
side?"
It was from the side, but it was still not dirty. Not dirty.
The thing that scared me was when I had Dave Dickinson in Calgary as a player in his last year. There was a special helmet that doctors had put together for him that measured the veracity of the hit based on where it hit him on the head, so they could keep track of what kind of hits is a quarterback taking. And Dave took some monstrous hits up on the top and, even toward the back. Mm-hmm. There was nothing. He took almost a glancing blow off his temple, and that's the one that knocked him, that ended his career. That one sent him to the side forever. And I just found that to be, it's so much where you get hit that determines. Again, do I wish he wouldn't have got touched in the head? Yeah. But to levy a maximum, I don't know what CJ Rivas could have done. He comes clean like that. It's like, I can't go down because if I hit him in the knees, that's real cheap shot. And I don't want to drop my head. I want to keep my head up. And, Zach is probably 5'11", and CJ Rivas is probably 5'. They're probably the same height. And he's running, so his knees are bent, as Zach's are, getting ready to throw. Again, it was just it was an unfortunate play, but one of those that, like you say, it just too bad.
Yeah. If time allows, I'd like to get to NFL and college, but I do have one more. The final third of the season is at hand, the final 6 games. Mm-hmm. What do you foresee, like a seismic shift at all in the standings? Are we going to see a crossover? What do you think is going to shake down in the final third?
I think we have the most unstable, outside of Saskatchewan, who has pretty much proven everything. The Calgary hammering by the Edmonton Elks, I mean, they physically beat the hell out of them. And they lost Flo Arimolade, who is the Micah Parsons of this league, I believe. I think everywhere he goes, he wins because he makes everybody around him better. They lose him for the year. So that loss just threw the league into, you have Saskatchewan, who can actually clinch a playoff berth tonight, tomorrow. Should BC lose and Edmonton lose, they clinch a playoff spot. So I think it's going to be a wild run, and there are teams that you would never think of that could be there in a flash. I mean, the BC Lions are everybody's. That defense is so bad. I mean, they tried to address physicality, but physicality is a mentality. It's a swagger. It's not all that crap those DBs do with putting, locking it down or whatever that. If they spend as much time and focus on covering their guy as they do on their after they knock a pass down, which is rare nowadays, doing their dance thing, then maybe they'd be a little better. But they're bad on defense. There's just no doubt they're bad on defense. But they're so good on offense. I think they have the ability to be really good on offense. And again, James Butler has had a solid year and stayed healthy. Nathan Rourke is going to be one of the top quarterbacks. So the BC Lions are kind of they're kind of them and the Toronto Argonauts are kind of the swing team. I mean, the Toronto Argonauts, Nick Arbuckle, I mean, I've heard talk about him as MOP. He's directed them to a 4-8 record. They've lost twice as many as they've won. So it doesn't matter how well you play. Playing quarterback's about winning football games. Now, Nick is doing a great job. He's played well last couple games. They're on a win streak. Is Chad Kelly going to be back? He has not been cleared yet. The doctors have not cleared him yet. So, he hopefully will be back. They're hoping for October 4th when they're going to do this Buffalo Bills game Jim Kelly will come down, and they're hoping Chad will be back by then. But he has not been cleared yet, so we don't know. But I think the Argos are just such a enigma. You just don't know. There's so many teams like that. Calgary. Will the real Calgary please stand up? Winnipeg. Now we got Chris Streveler this week. I don't think Zach will be out real long. But again, it's just there's so many question marks, Rod. I wish you could put them all in a hat, and anyone you pulled out, maybe outside of Ottawa, because they've shown that although that game they won that last week it's hard to explain, but they're the only ones that I don't really feel will be able to make. Maybe they will. I hope so. I mean, I would love to see all these teams making a run, but I think you could pull it out of a hat, and it could be any one of them, because none of them are standing out of everybody below Saskatchewan.
Well, they can't all make it. Yeah, they all can't make it, and the crossover is in play right now. But even that's tied. Edmonton and BC have 5 wins. Poll question today is, who's the best team in the NFL? Our options are the Packers, Eagles, Bills, or other. Who do you think?
Well, the Eagles are what, like you just mentioned, they're the best team in the league right now. They beat a Cowboy team that actually played decently, but they had their best defensive lineman, and that's where your domination of the line starts. And I thought the Cowboys had trouble with Philadelphia's line without Jalen Carter. Philadelphia goes to Kansas City this week. That's a fascinating game. For Kansas City, I know it's a lot bigger. They haven't been 0-2 since Pat Mahomes has been the quarterback. And now you've got Philadelphia with Jalen Carter coming back, playing them in there. That's a phenomenal game. And again, I'm going to say that Philadelphia probably beats them. The Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love is a player, and I didn't believe that. I've said before, he just hasn't done it. He's done it for me now. He's whether it's understanding his receivers, he's playing with confidence. He's got the right kind of swagger. He's not making the huge mistakes he used to make. He still makes occasional, but he's been excellent. But that defense, Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator he was from Boston College. That guy has those guys running around like college kids. I haven't seen a defense in the NFL run around. The Lions did a bit, but in the last couple of years with Aaron Glenn there. But he's got them going. Now you bring Micah Parsons in, and the whole speed of the game changes. He's so quick off the ball. And when they talk about him being a game wrecker, he is in the backfield every play. Now, whether he's going outside or inside, but if he's going outside, you watch your quarterback is going right into Rashawn Gary, or he's stepping up right into those inside pass rushers. That's why those guys are going to be much better, because they have Micah Parsons. So I think the Packers they're legit, man. I really think they're legit. I think them in Philadelphia, because the Packers physically dominated the Lions. The Lions, I think, are in trouble. I think that it's a true testament to how coordinators and head coaches in that mesh is so important. And Aaron Glenn, as the defensive coordinator, he understood what Dan Campbell wanted. Ben Johnson understood. And it was just a thing of beauty. Now they're an out-of-sync mess. And that game with the Bears, Ben Johnson bringing the Bears in after a game they probably should have won that they didn't, into Detroit, fascinating stuff. That's going to be fascinating stuff.
As I heard this morning, if the Lions lose, that's as many losses as they had all last year. And I got to ask you this. You're sitting there in Toronto. do you miss America where it's all football all day, every day, or not? Because that ain't the same in Canada, as you know.
Not one bit. I don't. I mean, I'm as excited as I can be to be living where I'm living. And
I mean the football talk. That's what I mean.
Yeah, but I get to talk on your show every Friday. Who gets once a week to be able to let it all out? I mean, to be able to say what I want to say about something the CFL said. You can't do that when you work for a team. But I can do it now. I'm on the Rod Pedersen show. He'll say anything.
It is nice. It is nice. There's no doubt. And so, I mean, you can follow football as much as you want. College week 3. What's the game you're looking forward to the most?
Probably Georgia, Tennessee. That one is exciting. I'll tell you, the South Florida Miami game, Alex Golesh has done a phenomenal job there. For them to beat Boise State to a pulp the way they did, and then come back and beat Florida, that's big. That is big. So your friend who's a Miami guy, that's going to be a hell of a football game for them. I think Carson Beck has come in there and done a great job for them at quarterback. I think there's a rhythm to them now, and they're playing with a swagger, and they're playing with confidence, and they're playing the way that championship teams have to play, just like the Packers. They're playing like a championship team plays. Don't make errors, fly to the football on defense. That's the University of Miami right now. They're a team I think really going to have to be reckoned with as we move through the year.
Yeah, in a way, I feel bad that I'm leaving town when it's such a big game. But you just said it. One of the top 2 games of all of college football is just down the road for me this weekend. But hey, there's always football that you can do. Who is the best team in college football right now in your mind?
I would say Ohio State. I just think that even with the young quarterback saying, they're so good up front. They're so good on their defensive front. Matt Patricia has stepped into college football and done much better than Bill Belichick has. And so, I don't know. There's just something about Ohio State I think is going to be difficult for teams. I can't buy into LSU. I mean, I love Nussmeier. You know, his dad's a CFL guy. I hope for the best for him. I just can't see LSU being that team. It's hard for me to see that. You know, I'm anxious to watch Georgia this weekend in Tennessee. I think that's going to be a telling game also. You know, they basically pushed Carson Beck out and to play this guy, and I'm not sure he's as good as Carson Beck. So it's going to be interesting.
Carson Beck just signing, I don't know if you saw this, I think it's a $6 or $7 million deal with Netflix to do a series on Carson Beck on top of the $4 million he's already making in NIL. My God, Jim, these guys won't have to play it down in pro football.
Well, let me ask you this. Say the NFL bypasses him. Would he come and play in the CFL after he's already made $11 million? Is that a positive or a negative? That's a big discussion up here in the CFL. Is these guys, like Thomas Castellanos at Florida State, that guy's made for the CFL. 5'11", can run. He's got a winner. He doesn't throw great. He doesn't throw the ball perfect, but he moves around. He may be a little like Nealon Green, but he has a chance to be fantastic. But he's probably making $4 or $5 million. Will he come and play in the CFL? That's a big question. CFLers are asking.
He's gone. He'd better really love football if he's going to do that. Jim, thank you. Thank you. Great football chat. We'll be back with Johanny Jutra right after this.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Our P show brought to you in part by Ultimate Fan Zone. Your team, your colors, your gear. Get it all at Ultimate Fan Zone, Sports Store, Moose Jaw, or online at ultimatefanzone.ca. There she is, Johanny Jutra. Comment ça va?
Hi, Rod.
Long time no see.
Toi?
Hey, how do you say
no
long
see.
time? Yeah, how do you say that in French?
Ça fait longtemps.
I'll take
Ça
your
fait
word
longtemps
for
qu'on
it.
s'est pas vu.
Yeah, exactly. Johanny, so I'll say football photographer because I was thinking about your book, Our League or Our Country, which I've had prominently displayed in my home for 10 years since it first came out. Our League, Our Country. I can't call you the author of it. What do we call you of that best-selling book, Our League, Our Country?
Let's say the creator.
Good.
Does that make sense?
Good. It sure does. You look great, by the way. Why are we
Thank you, you
talking
too.
about it? Thank you. Why are we talking about it 10 years later? I know there's a reason, but tell our viewers why.
It's been 10 years. That's, when you think about it, incredible. And recently I got reminded of that through, those Facebook memories.
Yes.
Like 10 years ago. And I've got so many of them, like me traveling the country. And I was like, oh, wow, okay, it's been 10 years. And it kind of made me, that was like a few months ago, made me realize that it's been 10 years. And I'm like, okay, well, I've got to do something about this. Like, this book has 10 years and I haven't looked through it for a while. So I decided to sit and look through the book. And I was like, wow, it's been 10 years, but it's still very relevant. And I still want to share this book with people. I still want people to see this book. So I've decided to make a 10th anniversary edition.
And you've made some changes
Special
to it,
edition.
but yeah. Well, by the way, my copy's in Canada. I'm down in Florida now. Been here for a while. I don't have them here. I'll have to get the new version. Do you have a copy with you? that you could
I
hold up
have
to
a
the
copy
camera?
with me. That's the old version because the new
Hold it up.
version, that's the original one.
Yeah. Can you flip through
Yeah.
that for folks?
Yeah, you remember that? This
Of course I
photo
do.
here. Yeah, I can flip through it. You want me to do that?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. Well, let's start. I'm
Some
gonna
of your
do
favorite
it quickly.
photos. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Favorite photos. There's a bunch, but like one. Hold on.
Oh man.
Oh, this photo is kind of cool. Hold on. I like this
What a
one.
work of art.
A lot.
What a work of art, the whole thing.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'll let people kind of buy it and see it in person because it's a book that you need to sit and like go through it and with intention. Yeah. So the new book is still the same book. So the truth is that I only had 500 books left in storage, and that's how I've decided to make something new with them, make something more commemorative, like a collectible item. So I've designed an entire new cover for it. That's very special, and the last 500 books are all signed and numbered. So if you buy it now, you'd get, because I'm selling it now with pre-sales. You can pre-order it right now. And let's say you'd get book 60 out of 500. And then there's a stamp in it, handwritten. So it's the final run.
Commemorative
Once it's gone,
edition.
it's gone.
Yeah,
Yes,
commemorative
there's not going to
edition.
be another
Well,
edition.
This goes fast. We only have 90 seconds. Tell people right now where they can order it.
Yes, okay. It's a pre-order. So if you order it now, you'll get it in like October, somewhere in October. CFLbook.ca. It's the easiest way to remember it. So there you go.
Yeah, well, we only have a minute, but I'll tell you what, the league got behind you very well in this, right? The support from the league at the time was amazing.
It was. The league and especially the fans. Back 10 years ago, when I embarked this journey, I didn't really know what the CFL was. Like the whole trip of building this book got me discovered what the CFL was. And for me, it was really all the fans that really pushed me through and helped me discover how great this league was and how great the Canadian fans are. Pretty awesome. I have to say that.
Yes, for sure. And I had a front row seat for how you were treated and all across the country. Our league, our country, CFLbook.ca. Thank you, Johanny, for coming on, and good luck with it.
Thank you, Rod.
All right, Johanny Jutra, CFLbook.ca. Order it now. Get it by October. We'll be right back.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. Welcome back, everybody. It is time for Overtime, brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. But they are big football fans at Overtime Hockey Lanes, too. Just don't go there expecting to play football, because it's all about hockey 100% of the time. Head on down to 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. Tell Randy and Michelle that the RP Show sent you and have the time of your life. We're also brought to you by Outlaw Communications, where creativity is a way of life, specializing in strategic communications, leadership training, and clear conversational content that motivates your audience. Check them out, Outlaw Communications. To be honest, I came into this show with a lot of notes that I wanted to get to today and haven't gotten to too many of them. Can somebody tell me why the Philadelphia-Kansas City game on Sunday is in the 4 p.m. time slot? Somebody that knows more than me, which there's a lot of those. That's a marquee game. How is that not a prime time game? A Super Bowl rematch. I don't understand how they schedule these games. I can't think there's anything else going on at Arrowhead more important than that. Why do they schedule that? Plaza stories. Think about it again last night. Alex Smith, Chris Best, the posthumously Steve Molnar going into the Rough Riders Hall of Fame. Wanted to tell some Plaza stories, just ran out of time. But that's okay. That's okay. We do have to get to a sports update. Aaron Judge has hit his 361st career home run, tying Hall of Famer Joe DiMaggio for fourth place in Yankees history. The two-time AL MVP went deep twice in the first 3 innings against the Tigers, with President Donald Trump in attendance in Yankee Stadium on the 24th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. Dublin would continue hosting an annual college football game through 2037 under a plan awaiting formal approval in the Irish capital. Organizers of the game tell the Associated Press that the deal is at an advanced stage with public and private stakeholders, and that a formal announcement will follow. The Week 0 college game in Dublin has become a fixture on the college calendar and typically attracts well over 20,000 fans traveling from the U.S. in a boost for Irish tourism. And you just heard Coach Barker talk about it. USF football coach Alex Golish wears a headset with the initials of former South Florida basketball coach Amir Abdur-Rahim. Abdur-Rahim's words, "This ain't the same old South Florida, my brother," have become a rallying cry for the Bulls. Abdur-Rahim, who passed away last year, said those words have a significant win in the 2023-24 season. Golish, a close friend, has repeated them after key victories, and it's really the game of the week here in South Florida, Saturday, 4:30 Eastern. The South Florida Bulls at the Miami Hurricanes. The sports update brought to you by Ultimate Fan Zone. From jerseys to trading cards, Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store is your fan cave headquarters. Visit them in Moose Jaw or click on over to ultimatefanzone.ca. I appreciate those who wrote in today with those that actually followed the instructions, where I asked you to tell me what's your football focus this weekend. I kind of sprung it on you last minute, but these things pop into my head last minute. I was just thinking about it this morning. I'm like, if you were doing it in a pie chart, 40% focus on NFL, 40% focus on CFL, 20% focus on college. That's both U.S. and Canada. But as I said, I'm not going to a college football game this weekend because I'm headed down to the Keys in moments. Going to try and fight off the rain and have a great weekend with Brent and crew down there. And come back here Monday, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, ready to talk sports with you. It's not something you do every weekend, but this weekend, we're doing it. As I said, and the Moose, we're going to try and sneak him in that really brief segment that you just saw Johanny in. You're seeing how quick 5 minutes goes in TV land. She certainly did, but at least we got the word out there, cflbook.ca. You kind of sit back and go, oh my God, does time fly? And I remember when that book was being produced back in 2015 and then became available. Johanny came to the media party at the Grey Cup 2015 in Winnipeg. Eskimos and Red Blacks meeting in that Grey Cup, and she was around doing a media tour then. 2015 Grey Cup in Winnipeg. She was there promoting that book, and here we are 10 years later, and it is the new and improved version. How about that? New cover, as she said, Our League, Our Country. I wanted to help her out because it's a perilous trade. And as she said, she's the creator of it, not the author of it, but it's a beautiful, beautiful book. And just to give her a hand on that, for the CFL fan in your life, it is a wonderful keepsake. So if you order it now at cflbook.ca, you'll have it in October, she says. You know, on that question from Jim Barker there earlier, this is not a new question from CFL people. I was hearing it before I came to the States. You know, are these players going to want to come to Canada after making millions in U.S. college? Robin Las Vegas writes in, he says, heck no. These U.S. college players aren't playing for 150 Canadian after making millions in USD. No, you wouldn't think, but let's remind ourselves of this. Not everybody's making $7 million a year like Arch Manning or $4 million a year like Carson Beck. As we found out, they're getting a lot in endorsement deals outside of that, like the $6 million that Carson Beck of the Miami Hurricanes has picked up from Netflix. But think about it this way, because I never played football, and I never really wanted to be a hockey player other than I was good at it. I wanted to do this. But if money wasn't a factor, would you not do what you love? Let's look at it that way. I don't know. I guess we're going to find out, because we're only a couple of years into this era of college football quarterbacks making multiple millions a year, but it's only a handful of guys. You know, I know guys that are making $500 a month US in college football. There's a lot more of those guys, like a lot more of those guys. I also know NHL players 30 years ago that signed $1 million rookie deal and never played again. It kind of depends on the player, right? But it's a fun debate, and today I feel like we covered a whole heck of a lot of ground. So thank you, producer Corey. It was a lot of fun. We got rid of the numpties. Thank you, Ryan, Cardinal Ryan. Everybody have a safe and fun weekend. We'll see you back here Monday, noon Eastern on Game Plus TV.
Now I'm the whore and the pimp. That's where the money is.
How about that?